So we've reached the 10th spirit of the Goetia now, and that is Buer. So let's have a look at the Ars Goetia. Buer. The 10th spirit is Buer, a great president. He appeareth in Sagittari, and that is his shape when the sun is there. He teaches philosophy, both moral and natural, and the logic art, and also the virtues of all herbs and plants. He healeth all distempers in man, and giveth good familiars. He governs 50 legions of spirits, and his character of obedience is this, which thou must wear when thou callest him forth unto appearance. God, that last part in particular is hard to read. And then it has his sigil. So let me go through the correspondence, and then I'll get into why Buer is a very important spirit, and for me personally, very, very special, and I would highly recommend anyone to work with this spirit. So, rank president. Now, I don't really particularly like doing the rankings because it kind of gives the impression that a king is above a president and all that kind of thing. So, but make of that what you will. So, rank is president. The dates are June the 21st to July the 1st. Direction is south. Tarot is 2 of Cups. Planet Mercury. Metal, also Mercury. Because the direction is south, most south or southerly spirits are fire, and that's the same here. Elemental, fire. Colour orange. Plant is aloe. Incense is storax. Zodiac is Cancer. So for me, there is not that they are the same spirit, they are very different spirits, but there is definitely some crossover in not just energetically, but also in terms of ability with Marbus. Marbus, one of his aspects is a healing aspect. With Buer, we also have, other similarities such as incense is storax, colour is orange, etc. Buer is very different in the healing aspect. From my experience, Marbus is really good at healing, but for some of the what you would say easier things, some of the more day-to-day things like a flu, like a virus, an infection, that kind of thing. Now, that's not saying that these things aren't potentially very harmful, but they're not as bad as some illnesses. For the bigger illnesses, I would recommend Buer. So just putting some of what the Ars Goetia says in a bit more context and modern language that, in my mind, makes a bit more sense. He appeareth in Sagittari, and that is his shape when the sun is there. That implies, and I find this to be correct, that he often appears as a centaur. He teaches philosophy, that's pretty straightforward, both moral and natural. So what that means is, and S. Connolly has a quote on this that I'll expand on. But first, what I interpret, and from my experience, what this means is we have, as society, and I know each society does vary, some of them quite wildly, but in general, each society and each person has moral values of what's right, what's wrong, what's acceptable, what isn't, what's legal, what isn't. But there is often grey areas of something that is perhaps morally wrong is actually the right thing to do. And some things that are perhaps morally or societally the right thing to do would actually be the wrong thing to do, if that makes sense. Let me get the Stephanie quote. Let's just remind myself here. So she says, here we go. Seek Buer to transform the self through thought, including rectifying addiction and bad behaviours. Invoke Buer for his wisdom about when magic is warranted or not. He can help you weigh moral issues and help you distinguish between what is moral and what is natural. So there's quite a lot in there, quite interesting as well. Now, when magic is warranted or not. So quite often with spell work, we can get caught up in the outcome. We can get caught up in, this is what I want, and we kind of get sort of tunnel vision and locked on that. What we often don't do is divination to see what this potential outcome may be. We're not thinking that far ahead because we're emotional. We want this, we need this, we have to have it. And I'm going to use magic to bend the rules in my favour and get what I want. Now, Buer is great with divination. He can really help guide you through that. So I would recommend, if you are going to do divination, do it with the spirit, but also take that emotion out of it. Try and be logical, separate yourself from the emotion. And when you do that, sometimes you will absolutely have situations where you'll do divination, you'll see the outcome and realise that you shouldn't be pursuing this ritual or ceremony or magic, because in the long run, it's not actually going to serve you. It's not what you want or what you need. But back to the healing. Now, obviously, magic is not a substitute for medical assistance, medical help. You wouldn't, instead of having surgery, do a ritual. I would never ever recommend that, and that's not what magic is for. That's not the right thing to do. Excuse me. But particularly with this spirit, you can work with it alongside any professional medical help. Now, I haven't experienced this, thankfully, but I have seen quite a few people online mention certain very common, unfortunately, illnesses, diseases that I think it's 2 out of 3 people in the UK will get during their lifetime, which is crazy. And I don't know why people aren't looking into why that's happening instead of treatment, but that's a whole other story. But destroying those cells, anecdotally, people have said that Buer has assisted them with that. Now, again, just to stress, anyone that is suffering from any illness like that, do not, replace medical help or treatment with magic. That would be incredibly irresponsible for anyone to even suggest that. So that's not what I'm saying, but it can run alongside. Similar how, let me remind myself of the name, Dr. Andrew Veal, I think it's pronounced Veal or Wheel, did a lot of work into placebo effects, because he was kind of interested, well, if there is some kind of medical outcome that's possible, then what is that? Is the human body doing something? And he did years and years of study on it, and sort of came to the conclusion that yes, the meditation, the mind, all of that stuff can support things like complex surgeries and the recovery from that, or the lessening the bleeding that can happen, those kind of things. So if you were to work with Buer or any other spirit, say Marbus or even Raphael, for assistance to run alongside, people have had very, very good outcomes that have, they've recovered quicker, the symptoms have lessened and the medical treatments gone better because of that, all that kind of thing. But yes, absolutely amazing spirit to work with. Now, I did Paimon last week, who's often regarded as a beginner spirit, and I said in that video that was not my experience. It was a challenge. Buer is very, I don't want to say graceful, that's not quite the right word, but very forthcoming, very kind, very easy to work with. Just a really kind, amazing spirit. The energy is just so positive and caring. So if you are interested in the spirit, whether it's for philosophical, moral reasons, for working with familiars, down to divination, or down to health that you may need assistance with, could not recommend this spirit enough. Absolutely incredible to work with. And various other things as well. A lot of these spirits, as you build that relationship, you can work with them for many, many different things as well. But very highly recommended from my side. And thank you for watching.